We are missionaries to Africa, Cameroon, the city of Limbe, and in that city there's 130,000 people plus. My story doesn't start out like that though. My story starts out several thousand miles away in a little place called Marysville, California. My mother was a prostitute, my dad was a drug addict, and they left me when I was 2 years old. My 5 older brothers took care of me, and it left a lot of emptiness and hurt on the inside. The beds, they're not that great. We are actually looking at purchasing new mattresses. These are mattresses that are just pieces of foam that are all broken up, and they don't even have the whole bed here. But some of them don't even have a mattress. Some of them sleep on a rug, which they actually moved because I said something. Yeah, they moved the rugs out, and I got a couple more pieces of foam so that they can sleep on them. But we're in a need of buying new mattresses for these children. When this opportunity came about to be a house parent or to be a missionary to orphans, it's like the Lord spoke like an orphan to the orphans, because when my parents left me at 2, they put us on the streets. I lived in boxes, cardboard boxes. I lived under on riverbanks, under bridges. I lived in shotgun houses and drug houses and all those things. I've felt the pain of not having food. I've felt the pain of hunger for going without food for 2 or 3 weeks at a time. And I've felt the pain of no parents. I felt the pain of loneliness. All those things, I felt all those things.
Unlike my husband, we're completely opposite. I was not born and raised in the streets. I was born and raised with a good, godly family, raised in church as long as I can remember. But my mom, she had a burden for a long time, and us kids never really knew about it, for orphans and foster care and stuff. So we had the opportunity of taking our cousin in for foster care, which kind of just slung my family into foster care. We wasn't really planning on adopting more than 2, but all in one day, my parents adopted 8 kids, 4 boys and 4 girls. 2 of them were my cousins, and 5 of them was a family in theirself, and 1 little girl that came by herself. And so my whole life, even outside of that, has been kids. So as a young girl, I began to pray and ask the Lord, God, what do you want me to do with my life? He called me to missions when I was 14, July the 6th, 2006. And then I began to pray and ask the Lord, what is it that you want? God, I know that you called me into missions, and I want to go, but God, I need a direction. I need to know where you want me to go. And I was just praying, and all of a sudden, I didn't hear him audibly, but all of a sudden I saw in my mind there was a little African child, and in the background it was like all flat, and you could see like mountains and stuff, and this little child looked up at me, and he just raised his hands for me to hold him. And in that moment I heard God say, "Africa, will you go?" And I said, "God, I'll go anywhere." And one day I know that not only, we're going to Africa now, but one day I know I'll get to finally pick up that little child that God showed me in my calling, and I'll get to bring that child Jesus.
Okay, so I have a question. I hope that you have an answer.
Yes.
How many's ready for a new bed?
Me.
Huh?
Me.
Okay. How many's ready for a new pillow? Okay, sit down. Who does not have a pillow? Wow. So I'm going to take the camera and Uncle Lieberman's going to start passing out. Okay? All right. My first trip to Zambia, Africa with a group, I couldn't even speak because I knew the same pains, even on a larger scale, not saying that I'm going through what they went through, but in a sense, like, I know what they're feeling. The fatherless, the motherless, the no food in the house, the emptiness, the no electricity, just the common things that everybody has, I didn't have growing up. Yes. Okay.
Video?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. So go ahead and start handing out pillows first. Yes, I did. Yes. We only have 27 orphans. We can bring in more. And that's what it's about. Those that we're not reaching, those that are inside of our borders, those that we're not helping, that's what we want to do. We have house churches, we'll have baptisms, we have all these things that we're doing. And that's how we are going to reach this city. The city of Limbe, reaching out from there, touching the bush areas, touching the large cities in different places. We'll plant churches and things like that. But right now, 27 is just the first number, and then it grows from there. And that's what our heart is. We don't want to just touch the ones we have, but those that we can't bring in, we want to do something with those too. And with that many people, 130,000 in that city, I just feel like God is requiring us to do a lot more than what we do. And the church sees it there, the people see it there, and there's a burden being put on their hearts and on our hearts that we are going to do something for God no matter what. And that city, reach the people, the orphans that nobody cares for. That's what we are going to do ultimately.